Okay, so let's get into the configuration part. So when it comes to the configuration part, we have got something called advisor. So this advisor, so it should be enabled so that it will be used. It can be used in the modules. So job posting bill rates exceeded. Okay. So this is something when this is something which will act as an advisor, in the sense it's going to advise if a person is trying to create a job posting. So it's for him, a bill rate would be set up under his user attribute. A bill rate should be set up. Okay, for each project, you can utilize so much. If that exceeds, this populates there. Okay, you're exceeding, you cannot proceed further. It stops from there. Okay. So those kind of things can be done here. Invoice generation. The invoice will be automatically generated. We don't need to have that. That is when once the timesheet is approved, it just populates. Invoice will be automatically generated. Rest assured. Work order certification expiring. So before the start date of the work order. Okay, so these are the small or simple mistakes that the users will be doing when they are creating. Okay, they might not put the start date properly. They might put the start date in the future date or the past dates. That's when you're going to get these kind of reminders, or say, I would say, the pop-up in the system. Okay. So this our advisor list, that's based upon the requirement of the users, how users are diligent in using the system. If at all, if they are very new to it, we need to use that whole lot. Okay. Categories are like, the different categories that's been used across. So here we are using for job posting module. So do we have anything for master data? It's not been set up. Any sort of questions? No. Okay, so this is like the categories within the system we can maintain. But yes, it's been created. I don't think so. It's been used. It's not been used in the activity checklist. Yeah. So this can even be used in the activity checklist as well. If if the company is using extensively, that's when this are all coming to the picture. But yes, classification forms are very important part. Okay. So these classifications are like, this is something which we saw in the SOW type as well. So this classification has 12 suppliers assigned to it. And there are 2 SOW templates under it. I hope you guys logged into the system, understood something, at least the navigation part. I think you guys have done that. So if you want to classify something new, you can go ahead and do this. So it should be linked to the SOW type there, so that that classification is used for any of the templates. Okay. So when it is created here, it's been linked to the SOW type. When it is linked to the SOW type, that's when you can create templates from that type, SOW type. Okay. Custom fields. This is contextual help. Contextual helps are like, just now we just hover over the something and it gives the information that, okay, this is for SOW. When once the SOW is created, we are gonna receive that info. I'll show you guys, make you understand that. Just give me a quick minute. This is something which comes up, for example, see here. So this is called a contextual. It is gonna just explain what exactly it is to the user, because users will not be having the complete idea of every part. So if they need any assistance as such, this is gonna give while creating, for example, while creating or so on. For example, I go ahead and create a job posting to the worker. I will select some. So over here, you see this more info, details, rates. I'm going to put across the start and end date. And the travel required is yes. What is the percentage? Let's say 50% travel. Who is the agency from whom the worker is coming in? Add the cost object. So I need to have the name for cost object. Okay, so by this, when I'm creating, if the user needs any assistance as such to understand what it is, then we can assign this. We can assign this service there, so that when he hover over the I mark, he gets the complete information on what needs to be, what does that mean? For example, if it is a business unit, what does that mean? Okay, so that is I'll try to show what's been set up. Contextual help. Okay, so when the interview or meeting is scheduled, at the top of the page, this is what is coming up. So this is what is contextual helpers. I'll just try to show you guys. It's not been set up. Okay, so this is something, the action that needs to be taken. It's going to explain what is the action that needs to be taken. Okay. So that's the contextual help. So we saw what is custom field. Okay, so these activity items, this contextual help, advisor, these are something, okay, which is not something which I have to concentrate on these sessions, but see, I'm just giving you an idea of what it needs to be. Okay, so even I don't want to overload you guys on everything, but yes, it's just good to know information for you, I would say. So the custom lookup, it's like, we can create the custom lookup for whatever the lookup type we want. Okay, so we have got the custom fields. So we have got the custom fields with respect to the different modules. We can even create the custom lookup here. So by this, we can bunch it up for each set of type that we want. So number of segments, okay, plant code, job posting template, timesheet type. This is just combining that. Okay. So the custom field and the custom lookup. The custom text in next. The custom text gives you the text that needs to be put in for the understanding of the user. So this is one of them. Help center. So how to get into the help center, contact us. That is something which has been set up. Where do we see that? Here we go. This is the contact us. This is what we see there. So this is used for SOW bid. Okay, so this is the custom text to help understand some of the custom built-in fields, why it's been built. Okay. Job code. This is one of the master data, I would say. This is normally coming from the HR system. However, we will be maintaining this manually. Okay, these job codes are the codes that's been assigned to each of the workers. So I would say the role. For example, when I go to the worker, I go to any of them, it says business SME. This is the role. We'll be having the job code right here. So that's not been filled in, but this is the field where we need to fill in the job code. Okay, so this is something which we have to maintain manually within the system. So this data is coming from the HR system. Okay, it is important that we maintain that way because this is also important for the billing purpose in the other systems. There are numerous ones. We can create the new one. So we should not create it on our own as it is the data from the HR system. Okay. Whatever the HR system says, we can go ahead and create those. Okay, so this is the next level of master data. This is the master data that is maintained. No doubt we already have got the master data over here, what I explained during the first couple of sessions. Okay. However, on top of it, if the company requires, I have never seen in any of the projects that we maintain this as an additional. These are all the custom filled master data, customized master data, I would say. Okay, so if requirement lies, that will be maintained here. Pick list is again the custom fields. Custom fields are considered as pick list. Okay, so these are group. For example, activity type, it's a custom pick list, custom field pick list. Okay, so we have got the roles added under it. System ID is a pick list. Okay, so this is me. System ID is something which is coming through the integration. I think that's the update that they have given here. Material group, it's a pick list here. LMS domain, it's a custom pick list again. So to which it needs to be updated. The roles, they have selected those. So let's go and search one of them. We don't see the system ID because it's a test site. It's not been integrated to the other system. We see the material group here. You have got the I mark here, which says field visible to the buyer user only. Okay, on top of it, it is a custom field. Okay, so why I say it is custom field, I'll show you guys. We've got here for worker material group. We were checking in the CWID. We see it here, the custom field. Where it is defined in the pick list. Here we go. This is the pick list. Let's go to any other one. We saw the PO reference ID there, PO item reference. PO item reference. Where is it coming from? It is linked to the statement of work. Okay, so it is coming from the statement of work, the PO reference. And let's go to this. This is not a pick list. So now the pick list is what we understand out of pick list is that it's the combination of some of the custom fields that's been created. Pick list is by default, it's a custom field. Okay. So the combination, I would say, is the material group contingent. Okay, we see numerous that's been used across the roles. Okay, that's the pick list. We can create a new pick list. Okay. Custom field source. What should be the pick list type? Custom field source, custom field pick list itself, integration pick list. Is it coming from the other system? If it is a custom field pick list, what would be the source? So we can add the pick list items to which it needs to be applicable to the rules, and I can add it. By adding that, this will be created. So we have got the help here. When user selects user as source, this pick list will contain all the active users in that format. Display name, additional items can be entered. All the entries must be unique. So this is the contextual help that you get. Let's go to another start. That's SSGST. We can add it. Okay, so this is something with respect to the pick list and its relation with the custom field. No doubt, custom pick list is even a custom field. It is used for managing the custom fields altogether in a group. It's recently tested. Okay, so any sort of questions that needs to be used in the system for anything for that matter can be used here. I can select the module that I've got. Are you satisfied with the worker's performance? We saw this in the wizard when we saw that. How satisfied are you? Explain the delay in providing contractor for our important project. There's a supplier qualification or the question. Okay, similarly, I can create the new question here, selecting the module. Is it the supply configuration qualification or the wizard? Wizard is exclusively used for anything within the system, whoever is there in the system, like contractors, SOW, and so on. Okay. So supplier qualification is exclusively for the suppliers. We can maintain the question here. By this, what happens every time? The user doesn't need to type in the questions, rather, he can go ahead and select it. Okay, so we have got the rules here. It should be mandatory or not. A repeat question for each combination. We can even set it to repeat so that you don't need to type in whenever you create. By default, it's gonna go to them and they can reply to it. Similarly to the questions, we have got the reasons. Reasons are like, okay, you're closing an assignment. Why are you closing it? We are closing an assignment way before the end date. Why are you closing it? So this is one of the examples that I'm giving. Okay. Completion. So reason for completion is neutral. That's okay. Assignment cancelled. Let's see that. Assignment cancelled. For example, when I go to view worker, say for example, I go to this worker, try to close the worker. So you've got the reason here. The reason will be there. That's been set up there. Completion, early termination, hired by customer, see others. Okay. So this is something which has been set there. Worker, type is closed. Just worker here. Completion, early termination, hired by customer, see others. Okay. That's what we saw there. Okay, that's how the reasons are set in. We can set in the reason over here, picking up a module. What is the action that's being taken? Picking up the module, for example, if it is a job code, when you're inactivating the job code, you need to have a reason. So name it, why it's been inactivated. It is no longer used. Or inactive in HR systems. Or inactive in HR system, add it. Inactive in HR system, let's say, for example, we're going to add. So we go here, we go to any of the job code. Simple thing. It is active here. I'm going to inactivate. I'm going to get the reason. Inactive in HR system. This is something which I created now. You see it here. Okay. That's how. Across what I've given you the overview with, this is how it's going to work. When it comes to activity checklist, when it comes to activity item, offboarding, activity checklist, threshold, wizard. Here, when it comes to the advisor, classifications and category. Okay, that is quite different. That's exclusively used for the major modules. Okay, we can consider here as advisor and pick list creation, questions and reasons. Okay. See, these are all something which is good to know for you guys. If it is just going way beyond your knowledge, don't worry about that. Yes. So manually maintained, what is manually maintained? Labor type is manually maintained because it's not coming from any other system. It's not maintained in any other system. Plant is not required. Okay, plant is not required. Plant is for the materials procurement. The Fieldglass doesn't need plant. Expense code. Expense code is something which is exclusively maintained in Fieldglass for the contractor's expenses. Probably it's per diem, per day travel expenses and the food, so on. Okay. Rate component is maintained in Fieldglass. Exclusively maintained in Fieldglass. Timesheet rate groups are maintained in Fieldglass. What is that? Let's see. Okay. So labor type, we saw that the other day. This is the labor type. This is something which has to be maintained here. This is created across the classifications, I would say, the classifications of the contractors that they are willing to use across the company. Okay. So this is something that company would use as external contractors for these roles, and they have done that. No doubt, on top of this, there is something called job code, which is defining their role. Okay. Admin or clerical, they might have 30 or 40 roles under that. Similarly to accounting and finance, scientific, industrial, so on. This is the first level of classification. Okay. So this is just the first level of classification. Labor type is something which has to be maintained here. Expense code. So where do we maintain the expense code? So the expense codes are to be maintained in the system. Under financial data, we have got everything out of it. I'll pick it up, expense code for now. So these are the expense codes. So why and where it is used? It can be created here. Okay. These codes are used when the contractor is filling his timesheets. Sorry, expense sheets rather. Okay. Task codes is when the contractor is filling his timesheets. Okay, so we have got the expense code, we have got the expense type as well, which can be maintained or we don't need to maintain at all. Expense type is like, the first level of classification, I would say, like the labor type. Not much required, we need to understand. Okay, we have got everything covered here. So if we want to classify these things, okay, for meal alone, one classification. For overseas travel, one classification. Domestic travel, one classification. We can do that in the expense type. Okay. Currencies are maintained here. We can add the currencies. Currency conversions, if you would like to, can be updated on daily basis. Okay. The invoice adjustment. Invoice adjustment is like, any sort of taxes, discounts, GSTs, so on, for that particular locality. Okay, that is maintained here. GST on timesheet. This is an invoice adjustment. We saw in one of the rules whether the user can adjust the invoice. The user can adjust the invoice adjustment. No. So those kind of things are maintained here. Okay. So invoice adjustments, we have got numerous invoice adjustment. If you want to have it under the group, we can group it. We can see how it's been grouped. Has it been aligned to the SOW templates? Yes. Job posting templates? Yes. How many job posting templates? There are 143. So now we should understand how it is required, how much important it is to have the multiple job postings or templates as per their requirements, as per the company's requirement. Okay, so GST has been maintained, it's been set to 10%. GST, SOW invoice and timesheet, they are maintained. This is grouping the invoice adjustment. Can the invoice adjustment group, can the user change the invoice adjustment group while creating the SOW or while creating the work order? Should be set to no. That is for the internal control purpose. Invoice billing schedule. So they are maintaining the invoice billing schedule as default. The schedule type is on demand for the expense sheets. For the timesheets, again, we have to maintain the invoice billing schedule. Say monthly. Okay, so weekly the timesheets can be filled, and monthly you can reconcile the timesheets. Or monthly the timesheets can be filled, and the same thing can be reconciled. Okay, so general ledger, this is the, okay, let's go back and come to it later. Okay, so timesheet rate groups, rate component. Okay, rate component, where is rate component? Rate component contains the rate structure. This is the rate structure. So we need to maintain the rate category. A day. Sometimes it is double time. For holidays, for government holidays, we consider it as double time. Okay, and even 2.5 times, half a day rate, overtime, quarter day. These are rate categories. So we need to categorize the rates. Rate change matrix is something which is normally not used. This is not used. Whereas the rate component is something which we have to use. So it's being used across the roles that we have got. So this will normally be maintained by the MSPs if it is outsourced to the MSP teams. Administrators will more be concerned on the technical aspects than these stuff. This is more into the finance part and accounting part, I would say, where MSPs will look into these things. Okay. Whereas we need to understand when it is an implementation part, we need to understand these things needs to be incorporated, and it has to be incorporated accordingly. Okay. So rate component, rate grids for the different roles that's been used. So what happens in this is, like, when once we have it here, the rate components can be selected there by creating the job postings. So we don't need to manually enter the rates. Okay, per hour, I'm willing to pay this. We don't need to do that. We can just have this and align to the job posting templates here. Okay. So rate component group and the rate component are to be maintained. Rate grids and the rate curve. So rate schedule is not required. Rate is something which is gonna define the codes. What is the minimum and maximum that can be set up? We can create, or we can completely update it if it is bulk. I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay. So the rate components are to be maintained. So what is the other part? Manually maintained and Fieldglass is these things. Rates are to be maintained, expense codes are to be maintained. Even with respect to the timesheet, the task codes are to be maintained. The labor type is even to be maintained. Okay. So now, which is automated from ERP to through the middleware integration? So this can be done. This can be even maintained manually. Some of the customers wants to maintain it manually because it is very difficult to integrate, because they would be having multiple ERPs. If not, if they have single ERP across the globe, yes, the cost center can be integrated. So we don't need all the cost centers. We just need something which is required for the contractors, exclusive contractors. Okay. So filter that contractor from there and push the data to the middleware. Locations, we don't need all the locations. We just need the locations that the contractor will be based in. So currency conversion is something which has to come from the ERP. Probably it might come on daily basis. It is better to have it on daily basis, because if they're using USD across the globe, so when they want the currency within the system, they need to have it. Okay. And then the currency that is required exclusively for Fieldglass, that is for the contractors. Okay. Company details, as we spoke about on the other day, it's a one-time setup for the whole buying organization. It will be set up by the Fieldglass support. Expense codes should include billable and non-billable, overtime, data cleansing, and so on. See, so overtime requirements or any sort of the double pay days, as we saw there, it needs to be maintained.
So when it comes to the expense type, so we use the rate structure to maintain the expense type. So we maintain the rate structure to understand the expense types. So these rate structures are even configurable within the template. Okay, so we saw that. We saw while we were talking about the creation of the template, we can use that. So the invoice adjustment group is an exception if the invoice is created and processed in Ariba or in ERP. If invoice is created and processed within FC, we need to maintain that. Okay, so if it is only created and maintained in Fieldglass, it needs to be maintained. But yes, invoice is normally created in Fieldglass. So when it is created in Fieldglass, it is better to have the invoice adjustment group in place. If not, we don't need to maintain that. If Ariba is doing it, we don't need to maintain that. So invoice adjustment types are like the different invoice adjustments. So we saw one of the adjustments that's been created in the system now. Okay, so the miscellaneous invoice adjustments. So the miscellaneous invoice adjustments are like, miscellaneous invoices are called as the invoice that's being created for onboarding and offboarding terms. Yeah, it's not a normal invoice, which is created for which is created on the basis of timesheets, or it is created on the basis of the deliverables or fee or events. It is for onboarding and offboarding, where in some cases they need to spend additional money to onboard and offboard. So in that case, miscellaneous invoices are used. So those adjustments are like, again, the GST comes into the picture there. So that needs to be maintained for all the modules. So is it taxable? The tax code needs to be maintained. If it is taxable, of course, it will be taxable. In most of the cases, it will be taxable. So discounts, any discounts can be maintained, as we saw that. So only the specific GL accounts are maintained. That is required for the external workforce management or external workforce procurement. So the rate component group, so it will be maintained in Fieldglass manually. Now we have got an option. If they are using SuccessFactors, the rate component group can be maintained even in a SuccessFactors for various employees and contractors, and it can be integrated from there. But yes, for contractor, it is better. It is recommended to maintain the rate component group within the system. Okay. Okay. So on the rate component, which has to be maintained in Fieldglass manually, it should be only a flat fee as unit, and margin should always consist of the percentage. Margins are like the MSP margins should be maintained as 1 or 2% on this. So the rate components is like, it is something which we can maintain as flat fee and a percentage. Okay. So if it is kept as 0, then the user can make the required changes while he is creating. So the user should be having. So the user should be having some amount of liberty while he is creating on his budget. So timesheet rate groups are like standard rate, bill rate, overtime. We saw that there. And let's quickly go for this. We'll see the rate component here.
flat rate per day. The value should be set to 0 here. By setting this value to 0, the creator can go ahead and update the rate there. It's just the margin that we have to maintain. So these are the contextual help or the advisors. Advisors is something which is going to populate. This is the contextual help. Include MSP fee calculation. The component will not be included in the MSP fee calculation. So this read component is used in 45 groups. Should be maintained in the group. So we can see this value is 0. With 10%. Component limit. So value should be set to 0, and then the percentage can be set in. It is something very, it's a typical stuff to understand, I would say. Okay. Starting from the creation part, but a technical consultant will not be creating all these things. This is like, say for example, okay, you have this is something which company decides upon, and the MSPs work around along with them. So while implementing, no doubt, we should be involved in this. Okay, so this is something about the rate structure. Here it is, the timesheet rate group. Any sort of, this is the standard rate group that will be maintained. This is the markup. No doubt it's not been assigned to any one of them. It's not been assigned to any one of them, but we can assign this so that it will be used in the timesheets. So the financial data and the rate structures are some of the typical stuff. No idea whether it is easy to digest for you guys. I have just given you the overviews. So you see the worker pay type here. So where is it coming from? It's been assigned to the job posting templates. Where is it coming from? It's been set up here. So if we have to upload this in bulk, we can go ahead and do it. We have got the template here. If we download the template, so this is the template. I think you guys can see my screen. So this is the template. Modification is A, U, or D. Okay, A stands to add. Okay, we can add a rate code if you want to add. If you want to add, we can add a rate code, something like this. We can give the description, rate category, maximum and minimum rate. Okay, so, and then we can upload this. So we can have as many as possible, upload it once, it gets processed and reflects there. Okay, so no doubt we can understand that when we are talking about the upload and download connectors. Okay, so these are the rates. The rate needs to be under, rates will be grouped and it will be linked to the rate grids. Okay. Okay, so this is something about the financial data and the rate structure. I think with respect to the maintenance, the master data maintenance, we understood. Either it is some things needs to be manually maintained. Some needs to be maintained to the integration from ERP. Some from Ariba if the Fieldglass is integrated with Ariba. Okay. So just to understand, I gave you the information about the financial data. No doubt, it is important. It is important to understand the financial data maintenance as well as the rate structure. But yes, being said that at what level you are trying to understand things, even matters there.